Hello again everyone, Bear from Bear Reads Books. Welcome back to my channel. Time for my reading goals for 2020. So I'm doing this back to back with the Best Books of 2019 video, hence the same shirt. I'm going to try and release them very soon after each other so you don't get confused. And there's lots of these videos floating around on BookTube right now about people's goals for 2020. I'm not usually the one to set New Year's resolutions or goals, but BookTube for me has been all about goal setting. It's been about changing my habits and changing my lifestyle. And if you've listened to my previous videos, I started recommitting to my reading when I gave up drinking. And 2018 was just a time to recommit myself to my reading. 2019 was a time to share that recommitment of reading with other people, hence my BookTube channel. And then 2020 is really going to be a consolidation of all that. So there are lots of videos out there and people are really organised, and I feel bad that I'm just not quite so organised. People have got lovely charts and Excel spreadsheets of what their 2020 goals are like with check boxes and stuff. Mine amounts to 2 cards, if you can see that, maybe this way, 2 cards with my handwritten scrawl on it about what things are important to me for reading in 2020. So I'm going to go through those right now. Hope you enjoy it. It's time to start doing your own 2020 goals if you haven't already done so. So, let's start with my TBR. This has been a pain point now since I started on Goodreads, because I just keep adding stuff to my TBR. What happens is, and I've mentioned this plenty of times before, is my reading ends up being first 6 months, then 12 months, then 18 months, and 2 years behind the times. I'm reading books from 18 months to 18 months to 2 years ago. So none of my videos, or very few of my videos, are about books that were released recently, and I would like desperately to rectify that. So one of my goals, and I've already done this, is I've registered as a judge for the BookTube prize. So there will be reading lists that I have to commit to, all of books I've released in 2019, which suits me because I've probably bought them anyway at some stage and never read them, which is my problem. So I think committing to being a judge for BookTube prize will get me through some of those more recent TBR items. I hope. And on top, what I would like to do is shift the balance. So you've seen my shelves at home where my unread books, I started off next to the bed on a very, very tall tower of terror. They're now on a small bookshelf, and there's 2 shelves on a bookshelf for all of my unread but owned books. And I really do need to start getting through those. A lot of them were released in 2019. I bought, purchased, got excited about, never did a thing about. So that's first. TBR, shift the timeline is what I'm calling it. Shift the timeline from a 2-year-old TBR to a 12-month-old TBR. So getting rid of, which could mean essentially buying less books this year, maybe. That's part of my problem as well. But also reading at about the same rate. I'm happy with my 60-something books that I read this year. So not reading more, but shifting the timeline. And if you saw my previous video, I now have a love for short fiction. So not that should be about beefing up your numbers, but if I'm throwing in a little bit more short fiction, then maybe that will help with that TBR as well. So I did discuss prizes. I am on the judging panel for the YouTube prize. Other stuff that is always important to me are the Australian prizes. And there's probably 2 or 3 really important Australian prizes that I want to jump into their short list and read, and at least read the winners. And on top of that, we have the Man Booker, which I always say I love to read, and then depending on the list really is whether I get to it or not. This year's list was amazing, and I think I've read more from this year's list than any other list. So I'm going to get to that as well. So prizes, focusing on those. Again, they're all 2019 books as well, so that helps me with my TBR problem, is shifting that timeline for the TBR. Personally, for this BookTube channel, I want to do more book reviews. Book reviews are the hardest video to do. It's quite easy to do a book tag or a book haul or other types of videos, but really book reviews is where I need to get better. And I recognise that. and I want to make sure I do that for you. So I need to concentrate on that. It could just mean every book I read, I do a little 3 or 4 minute video about, but I haven't done it yet, and I need to do it. And that's going to be what I start with as soon as I put down this camera today, is everything I finish from today onwards, I'm going to do a little video about. And that's my commitment to you. So more videos from me, maybe more consistent videos from me. A few challenges I'm interested in, not many. There's the Reading Women Challenge that I've never participated in before that I do really want to kick off and do. So it's Reading Women Challenge. And then the physical authors and books that I want to cover. So outside of those challenges, prizes and TBR problems that we talked about, there are some books that I just have to read. One of them, Ducks Newburyport, is the very next book I'm going to pick up as soon as I finish Murakami, which should be in the next couple of days. If anyone would like to do a group read for that or a buddy read for that, hit me up, because I think doing 20 to 25 pages a day makes sense for something like Ducks. So if you'd like to do that, by all means, I'll set up a Boxer channel, we'll make that happen. So that's Ducks Newburyport. During Victober, there were 2 authors that I really wanted to get to that I couldn't. That's Elizabeth Gaskell and Anthony Trollope. And I do want to at least introduce myself to those. Not do everything, but I just want to maybe north and south and something from Trollope, but at least one decent novel from each of those to kick them off, because I've never read anything about either of those books, about either of those authors. Cervantes, Don Quixote. I don't like, in the past, I haven't liked Salman Rushdie. And then I heard an interview with Salman Rushdie talking about his new book Quixote, which is a modern take on Don Quixote, which I also have not read. So this year I have bought Quixote by Salman Rushdie, and I would like to read Quixote, but before doing that I want to read Cervantes' Don Quixote. So very soon, it is a big book, I'm going to kick off maybe straight after Ducks. I would like to do another big book straight after Ducks Newburyport, being Cervantes' Don Quixote. And if I do that, then I can read Salman Rushdie's Quixote. That's the plan. I also am part of a book, Goodreads January Classics read. So within the next day or so, I'll be starting Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita, another classic I haven't read. So that will be in and around all the other stuff happening in January. So Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita, which is a classics group read on Goodreads. I'll put the link down below if you want to join late, if you've never read Nabokov's Lolita before. And Toni Morrison. So I've already joined Hannah from Hannah and All the Books, and who else? Someone else. There's a whole bunch of us on Voxer doing a Toni Morrison group read, a book a month for the next 12 months, to cover off all of Toni Morrison's books. I'm already 2 in because I started last year, if you remember. So I'm going to keep that going. And so we'll do that. But that will be nice and easy, short books, 1 a month. And poetry. I'm crap at poetry, and I've tried to be better at poetry, and I've tried to understand poetry better. But I think Ben Lerner talking about poetry all the time has really made me interested in wanting to do more and to read more. I don't want to go overboard. I just want to learn how to enjoy it. So I think that's one of my goals for 2020. Whether I kick that off now, or whether I kick it off later, I don't know. But one of my goals for 2020 is to learn to enjoy poetry more. And I don't mean Victorian poets, I mean modern, contemporary, interesting poets. And I've got a list of gateway poets, isn't that a great term? So I've got a list off The Guardian called 25 gateway poets. So I'm going to work through that list. I might, if I can find the link, I'll put it down below for you as well. That's it, goals for 2020. That's a super amount of goals. Hopefully I haven't overtaxed myself. What it does mean is less readathons and those sorts of things, but more book reviews, more videos from me, and hopefully more ticks from the box of the things that I want to do, rather than just loping from thing to thing and place to place. So a little bit more focus, which I need to get through that TBR. Enjoy the day. Enjoy your day, everyone, wherever you may be, and I'll talk to you again soon. Have a great one. Bye-bye.